Honesty now, if it is not picked here for PSG.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because I remember last year, 2019 play-in stage, Ekko jungle was all the rage. You know, everyone tried playing it, and it didn't really work out, and then it just fell off a cliff later in the tournament. And even since that point, it's been nerfed a couple of times, and Kongyue still likes this champion and can definitely be one of those that when you get to level 6, like your skirmishing is very, very strong, and it's super hard to punish him, and it allows him to play pretty aggressive.
It definitely lends me to thinking, though, that PSG will not play that teamfight style we saw them use against LGD. They're going to be much more about unleashing Kongyue early on. They'll have probably a Senna in the bottom lane, a more safe AD carry down towards that bottom side, and then they'll try and use Kongyue just in those side lanes.
Exactly, and that's something that I really like as PSG come to this game, and they've obviously done a lot of prep to face off against the Unicorns, as we know Unicorns like to play a little bit more skirmish style, right? So why don't you try and match that a bit? And one weakness of the Unicorns is they like to flip it around the Herald. They'll sometimes take fights early on that they don't need to with comps that do scale up, and even in the first game of the tournament, like, we all remember Nomanz running away on that cast and, you know, absolutely breaking the ankles of his opponents, but that came off of the back of not the best team fight around the Rift Herald. So I think by drafting some strong champions that can fight, you know, early on to the game, 8 to 12 minutes, you definitely put yourself in a spot to try and battle Unicorns on that ground.
Volibear is the next pick for PSG. Expect that to go to Hanabi. Now, I know we're saying the Sett Ekko is mid-jungle. That's just because that's what they always do with it. Sett can still be flex. Like, it could still be support, it could still be top. It's not going to be. It's going to be mid-jungle. Volibear is going to go into the top lane to try and deal with the Renekton.
So now what we have on the other side, of course, is that Hecarim Orianna. Very strong combination here. Bot lanes remaining very untouched, and this has been an evolution I've seen in draft phase kind of globally, as early on in the year, you know, even early on in Summer Split, it was all about drafting, you know, very strong AD carries. Like, remember Caitlyn, remember Ashe.
I mean,
like,
even LEC playoffs was all about that.
Exactly.
Ashe, Caitlyn priority every game.
And before that, we had like Varus and Senna in the bot lane be very, very high priority. But as we see so much more focus on banning out pivotal junglers, you focus on getting these strong junglers early on, we see AD carries and supports pushed later and later into the draft. And what this means for PSG, at least, is likely to be able to find a counter pick in the support role for them. They're taking away a lot of these hook champions for the time being, and I mean, they'll get to reveal whether or not this Orianna is going into the mid lane or the bot lane from the Unicorns.
Actually taking away Kaiwing's Thresh, because Santos is really good at Thresh as well. Like, Santos is undefeated on Thresh throughout the season, has a 10.4 KDA. Kaiwing's lost 2 games, I believe, on it across his 10 games as well. So both of them Thresh aficionados. Jhin is the expected pick here for Dee. We saw him play it yesterday when the Senna was removed. Now, the thing with Dee is, I looked through some of his stats and he is unimpressive. 20% of his team's damage share as an AD carry, that's quite low. Although he did play 1 game of Senna, so that's, that equals it out a little bit. However, what he does do well is let his team play around him, right? Kaiwing protected him really well in team fights, and all you need to do is get that fourth shot off a couple of times, and then you're really impacting the fight.
Exactly, and right now with PSG's comp is, you've got a very scrappy comp, you know, 3 melee champions really bolstering you up on the top side of the map, and now they need some long range and some solid long range initiation, I think, especially in the support pool, depending, I mean, if you wanted to put the Sett bot lane or not, because I think if this Orianna is itemizing, you know, into the root of like the Hextech GLP, like, that's so effective against melee champions, the long range slows, and with a Swain too, we know that can actually go both places in the bot lane, either carry or support. This could get interesting.
I mean, we've already seen Gadget play the Orianna once in the bot lane today, so it could be even Swain mid with the Orianna going down towards the bottom side. If it is a Pyke, the expectation is Swain Pyke in the bottom lane. I prefer a Rakan. I think it gives you a little bit more follow-up engage with the Hecarim, but also it denies that long-range engage that we were talking about from PSG, the ability of Rakan to get onto that backline.
All right, this is really, really interesting now, because Swain is so effective against low-range compositions where you can stick 3 people on him. He gets that massive drain. It's very hard to take him out with any sort of long-range sustained damage. And definitely PSG not built to combat in that department now. So PSG, we said they needed hard engage. They're going to find that hard engage in the form of an Alistar here, but I don't know. I feel like Unicorn's comp is really good at absorbing engagements, right? You know, Renekton can pop the Dominus, be very, very tanky. The Swain has so much sustain in these fights too. I'm a little bit concerned at whether or not PSG will be able to get through the healing that Unicorns have drafted.
It's definitely going to be difficult for them. Of course, things like the Morello on the Ekko can help out with that. Things like an Executioner's calling for the Volibear with the lightning damage, but moving it across towards other people can help out a bunch. But PSG currently undefeated over the last 2 games, now being challenged by the Unicorns of Love, who've only played 1. I want to remind people before we get on into the game about how our tiebreaker rules work. Just because you lose the head-to-head does not mean that you will be placed lower in a tie. So for example, here, if Unicorns win this game and PSG and Unicorns are tied at the top of the group by the end of group stage, Unicorns would get the choice of side selection in the tiebreaker game. Even though they are 1-0 up, because of the way that we're only doing single round robin, it would be unfair to say, hey, you lost in the 1 game you played when you didn't have side selection or your side wasn't chosen for you, therefore you get knocked out.
Exactly, and now like this match is sort of what we're looking at to see like who actually comes out top dog in this group, because I mean everyone coming in the pre-tournament expectation was Group B and play-ins, LGD win, and you know in the first 4 games you play, the #1 seed in each group automatically qualifies to the group stage. You don't have to play any best of series, you're just going to move on forward. So being first in Group B will immediately send you up there, and now with LGD gone, it looks like it's going to be one of these 2 teams.
And that's just incredible. Let's be honest. So LGD, there is still a way we get like a 3-way tie at 2-2. There's still a possibility. But if PSG win this, they cannot be caught by LGD.
And of course, like Supermassive on the other side is also competing with it, and we'll get to see them a little bit later on today, I do believe. But this is gonna be a fun one.
I'm super excited for this game, especially seeing this Ekko set. Like we saw it once yesterday, it popped off, and we'll have to see how Unicorns can deal with it. You've got the Hecarim, and AHaHaCiK last year was very strong on picks like this, so we'll see how much of an effect he can have, and whether they can shut down Kongyue and Uniboy early on.
I am trolling. Supermassive is on the other bracket.
I just assumed you meant they were a good team.
Yeah, they're a good team, and you know what? They might have to face off in the best of 5s to qualify later on. See, I nailed it.
You got there. Great job, Ender. There's a lot to know when you come into play-ins. Like, you're learning basically 20 new teams, or 22 new teams
22,
this year.
yeah.
You have to remember who everyone beat and what day it is, which you struggled with in the last
today
game.
we have so much League of Legends. Yesterday we only got to cast a couple of games. Today we get 7 on the day, so 2 more coming up after this one. We got a Supermassive versus Mad Lions I'm looking forward to, and then NA versus OS to close it out.
The upside down. Look, I still believe horses are just kangaroos that haven't learned to walk on 2 legs. They're just not smart enough, right? So it's Liquid versus Legacy, right?
What's your stance on Unicorns? That's what I want to know. I think that's what the fans want to know.
I think, mate, you put me on the spot quite a lot here, let's be honest. Unicorns are great. I enjoyed them in The Witcher. That's a reference you won't get because you haven't played the game, but everyone out there, you know what I'm talking about. Let's go, League of Legends. Gonna play some more, and we'll see. I believe we're just waiting to get on into this game as the Unicorns of Love and Paris Saint-Germain eSports, well, Talon, will jump onto the ring. 2-0 for PSG, 1-0 for the Unicorns.
All right, and we do have confirmation that will be the Swain down in the bottom lane. So Gadget showing off one of his other tools in the kit there, going up against Dee. He's going to be running the Conqueror, which again makes a lot of sense when you're against a lot of champions that want to force into you. He doesn't need to rely on the phase rush as much, I feel, against 4 melee champions. Like, they're going to bring the fight your way, and then we already mentioned how big his sustain can be, and with the Conqueror rune, of course, the damage over time.
The issue always is with the Swain, if you get close and personal with him, he will destroy you. He puts that Demonic Ascension on, he gets all of the health back, and then Demon Flare, like Diablo himself, he just burns you down. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Hanabi picked this Volibear into the Renekton. Boss's Renekton is something he has played, well, it's the most played champion for him this split, and he has never lost on the champion. I mean, that's not saying much. Unicorns of Love only lost 1 game in the summer season, so it's not too surprising he hasn't lost.
But it's a phase rush in the bot side for this Alistar, and I know the Aftershock Alistar, which can give you a whole lot of value, especially for these early all-in trades. Phase rush is more of a get up and go, and I feel like later on, once level 6 comes in, of course you're gonna have a lot of that, you know, survivability with your ultimate, but inside the laning phase, that's an interesting one for sure.
So my assumption is you're looking for the headbutt pulverize combo, 1 auto attack, and then you can chase them down with your E and make sure that you get the stun. No one can then escape from you, which is why the phase rush is an option that we've seen around, but you can see, look, just you get knocked up and you get dragged back, and Gadget with the never move is just going to keep Kaiwing in place. It's actually a really difficult lane if you ever get caught out, because you've got the passive from the Swain, you've got the knock-up from the Rakan, you've then got the never move from the Swain as well as he pulls that claw of death through the ground. You're going to be stuck in place for a long, long time.
Yeah, and this Swain pick has been one that has been, floating around for a little while in the bot side, both in the, carry position and the support position. And whether or not, whichever way you're pairing it, you want it with CC early on, because of course that passive pull offers you so much, and that chain CC whenever a jungler wants to show up as well. I mean, just consider a level 6 Hecarim runs into this bottom lane. He lands his Fear, which is the size of the entire lane almost, and then that's in another immediate CC, so the chaining can be very, very difficult, and something that, you need a cleanse to deal with.
Is this deja vu? Because I saw that play yesterday, and exactly the same result happened. Flash away from Nomanz as the flash came in from Uniboy. We'll see if Kongyue decides to come for a repeat gank. And AHaHaCiK is up into the top lane. Boss actually quite low here. He's going to tank up a tower, shot the knocked back with the rampaging charge, and there's first blood.
Wow.
Great dive there from the Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, really well done, but Kongyue not slowing down just yet. He wants to go bot.
Kaiwing does have the knocker, would have to flash to try and get onto Gadget, and they decide against it. The parallel convergence just a little bit out of position.
Yeah, the wave was in a good spot to look for a gank, and seeing an AHaHaCiK top lane, he's like, okay, we're going to force it down bot side and see if we can make that one work. I love Uniboy walking down the river too, because Kongyue had used his stun with the W bot side. He was like, hey, Uniboy, come on, pull it over here, make the resistances drop so I can clear through that one, no problem. The synergy obviously showing there.
Yeah, it's something you can always do as a favor to your junglers. Just CC the Scuttle Crab, takes away 50 armor and 50 magic resist from it. So it's a lot easier for them to clear. And AHaHaCiK has decided the top side of the map is his playground, as he is currently on the Krugs. Kongyue is at the bottom side getting his grip.
Yeah, because the thing is, AHaHaCiK, he knows the respawn timer, because with Kongyue revealing himself in mid with red buff, that means he cleared his top 3 camps, and he knows, well, around that 4-minute mark, that's when the second camp after the buff is going to be respawning, so he's here for the Krugs. You'll love to see it.
Are they going to do this? So my assumption was that Boss was going to come into this bush where AHaHaCiK is at the moment and try and force Hanabi away, because Hanabi's already burnt his teleport, has burnt his flash. We'll get like 4 small Krugs and actually clear out the ward here to make sure there's no possibility of him getting teleported behind.
Yeah, but you can already see the mind games of the junglers as Kongyue walks underneath mid lane to try and steal away the Raptor camp. It's a little hard to commit to the enemy Krugs at this point, because AHaHaCiK could have reset, but it will just be the Raptor trade on top, and if Santos can sneak back over towards Krugs and make sure those aren't being stolen away, that's a really nice early move from AHaHaCiK.
Both the junglers, just as you say, trading sides of the map. A slight gold lead for the Unicorns of Love. About 600 gold ahead right now because of that early kill. In the bottom lane, though, a large CS lead for Dee and Kaiwing. Of course, the Swain, not the longest range, even though he is a ranged champion. It's not the easiest lane to farm up in, so as the wave pushes out, we expect Gadget to probably even that out about a 10 CS deficit.
Definitely. All right, so coming off of these resets, I'm looking at where these junglers can try to attack, because of course Nomanz lost his flash very early on, and I think there's definite repeat gank potential around mid lane, especially when Uniboy hits level 6. Deep wards were placed by AHaHaCiK on the Raptor camp, which does see Kongyue on the bottom side of the map, and this makes it so easy for Nomanz to position in the lane now. He can just hug that top side river and be very safe up against any early aggression.
Of course, Renekton, Ruthless Predator, the stun works its way through shield, so even though Hanabi's going to try and get some shielding from that electricity from the sky, he will be chunked out pretty effectively every time that Boss decides to go in. And you wonder about the Volibear pick, like, it feels like it's matching the Renekton okay in the lane, but it's got to bring something more to the table, because Renekton at the moment is just having an easy enough laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, I think Renekton's gonna be fine up here, and looking at like later on team fights, I think Renekton has a little bit more value to offer when it comes to like diving the enemy backline. When Dee has cleanse up, it's gonna be really hard to make anything happen. But I mean, this is gonna be a game where, I mean, it feels even less about diving backline. It's just like a bunch of melee champions butting heads. That's why I actually am a little disappointed to see Nomanz going the route of the Seraph's Embrace here. That early tier purchase again against 4 melee champions. The value you gain out of itemizing. Hold that thought though, as Kongyue looks towards mid, but the value you get out of a GLP and the slows you can provide is just absolutely massive.
You can see Kaiwing roaming away from Dee as well, just trying to get himself involved in the action, but neither team really able to find too many forays. Of course, we had that first blood in the top lane, which was a excellent dive from the Unicorns of Love. But now, teams seem pretty satisfied just trying to find these picks without actually really making much headway.
Dee's walked all the way up towards this middle lane. It's kind of funny. In 50 seconds, Rift Herald's going to be spawning, and one difference in the bot laners is Gadget went the TP route and is holding on to that teleport. So if Unicorns did want to contest over the top side of the map, they do have that global at their disposal.
I wonder if Dee's going to get to level 6 alongside Kaiwing a little bit earlier here, because Santos has left the lane. Obviously, he's only level 4, so if Gadget gets 6 first, you could actually look for a pretty aggressive all-in here, although Dee gets it right off the next minion, so deciding against it.
Yeah, I still will say, when you look at like the all-in, Jin's ult is not the all-in tool more often than not. You know, Gadget gonna have a lot more immediate value out of that ulti if there were to be a gank, but I think at this point, like, Kongyue isn't going to be looking for any sort of bot lane play, you know? Like, Uniboy coming down here, it's a little bit much to ask for. I think that their best tools were to look around mid lane, and especially if Uniboy can keep setting up the wave like this, where he's chilling in mid lane, there's 6 ranged minions on the other side.
Because I saw him do exactly the same thing. I was like, okay, it's pulling this, then it will freeze outside of his turret range. He's going to be in a great position. He's like, no, I am set. I punch things.
But the funny thing, too, is like, Kaiwing was literally running through river, like, right when Nomanz gets back to lane, we're going to make the gank. Oh, nope, just recall. Never mind.
Sometimes you got to punch stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the play I was talking about from Unicorns, though. Off the reset from Santos. He's going to run up top side, and Gadget can obviously go ahead and join into this fight with a teleport of his own. Dee pathing down bot side likely means this just goes to the Unicorns.
We've heard already today, seen it on Foscurin's Twitter as well. Unicorns like to flip the Herald. That's kind of what they do. They will play for it as much as they can.
In their defense, in this game, this is less of a Herald flip.
This is the right decision.
This is exactly set up how you want it to be as TP comes in, as Dee did end up committing to mid lane.
Here comes Uniboy as well. We see the Unicorns of Love are willing to give it up, because maybe it's a bit more of a flip right now. Get the D2s out, get those coins, toss them up, see if it's heads or tails as Boss. Trades on the top side.
The TP.
The teleport from Gadget from behind the wall, but there's no blast going for him. He's going to work his way down through the bottom side of the fight. Dee is not really here. The Herald goes across, and it's taken by AHaHaCiK. And now the devastating charge is going to come out as Hanabi gets 1, but the shotgun finds 3. Unicorns of Love will get the Herald, and they'll get out. Curtain Call coming down. There's a look for a further trade, but the Unicorns of Love should just be able to walk their way out of this one. Kaiwing going in, flash, jumps, the taunt, the power convergence coming out as well for the damage. AHaHaCiK's going to fall. Next up on the menu is Gadget. He pulls Kaiwing back, and the final auto will be enough, but it's 3 kills to 2 in favor of PSG.
And there it is. We said it would happen, and PSG fought the Unicorns in that top river. They tricked us, right? You know, Dee ended up committing back towards the mid lane. Uniboy on the teleport into that fight, and I mean, part of it was just a little bit crazy because Gadget didn't actually commit to the 5v5 right off the bat. He ended up chasing down towards Dee, and the early damage, the base stats smacking each other in the face, was PSG favored.
It's a little bit of a chaotic fight.
Yeah, because again, the important thing is Gadget, who just ran off your screen, he's not in this fight. So the Smite Steal does come through from AHaHaCiK. He's able to pick up the Rift Herald on top of it, but Gadget's over here, like his ultimate is so massive against all those melee champions, but he's not able to commit anything onto Dee, who doesn't even use a summoner spell.
It really feels like here Unicorn should just...
Kaiwing, ooh, the express pathway. W to Gadget, Q flash onto the other 2 backliners, sets up for Kongyue to finish him off, and that was very well played.
I mean, it's really good from Kaiwing. Totally agree with you, but Unicorns, they get the Herald. They are out of the fight. They can walk down towards their mid lane tower, and then they're like, nah, man, gotta fight a little bit more here. They got 1 kill out of that. 3 went over to PSG, and it's about a 400 gold lead for the Unicorns. And they do have the Rift Herald, and there are still plates for the next 3 minutes, so they should be able to get some of that extra gold back in their pockets.
Do they want to commit to yet another fight around the Ocean Drake that is up, of course? I think the bot lane for them, Gadget did just come off of recall, so he didn't really have any money to spend after that fight either, and he's still trying to work his way into the Rod of Ages here. So I think Unicorns, after realizing how little damage Nomanz especially did in that fight with the Shockwave against the base stats of PSG, they're like, let's pump the brakes just a little bit, calm down, and just let that dragon stay on the map, because eventually, you know, a couple items on this Swain, especially when the Leandries comes in, there's a lot of HP stackers from PSG, he will just tear through them.
And the big thing for PSG is Kongyue picked up a kill, Uniboy picked up a kill, so they are well and truly off to the races in terms of their itemization. The runic Ekko is complete on the Ekko himself. perhaps look for some of these plays. But the problem is that there's Flash is still available for Nomanz and Gadget, so it's actually a lot harder for Kongyue to find a pick. So he's going to try and fight over this Scuttle Crab right now. Gadget was on his way up from the bottom lane. Dee and Kaiwing waiting in the wings, looking to see perhaps if they can catch out Gadget. Here comes Kaiwing. They're going to dive onto Gadget. The root comes out. Kaiwing never moved, flashed away from. He's going to pull back Kaiwing now. As Gadget had to burn his flash. The Scuttler still fought over here on the top side as the base breaker comes in. Showstopper already used. Kongwe's going to get Shockwave.
There's a TP.
His Chrono Breakout and just about gets it. And now here comes the TP. Gadget on the backline with the Demonic Ascension. Trying to get that flare off as Hanabi dives towards Santos. Gadget pops.
Look at the healing.
Curtain call coming out. Gadget healing up. Nomanz almost down. Gadget's going to take a final shot to the back and he will fall. 1 kill to PSG.
PSG, they're fighting the river. They know they have the TP advantage, and Unicorns of Love are not doing their due diligence right there. Hanabi is able to come into the fight. Voss cannot help out whatsoever. Even with the damage Gadget was able to do, the time he was able to buy, PSG are the stronger team.
But Boss has not been that involved. He is now 0-1-1. He's got 4 plates. He has a Blade of the Ruin King complete. He has a 40 CS lead. Like, this Croc is a monster.
Yes, but he's not in the fights.
But he will be next time.
Get him in the fights. He's got to be there to make that work because you're totally right. He does have a large advantage, but now this Herald goes in the top lane to break 1 plate. Like, these types of moves don't seem like they're all adding up now for the Unicorns. You throw so much into getting that Herald. Why are we just using it for a single plate on a tower that was destined to fall?
I understand, brother. I agree with you. Perhaps it could have been better prioritized, or perhaps we were saying it's 30 seconds before the turret plates fall. We have it right now. I'm not saying it's the best play. All I'm saying is
it is a play. You're right.
Reasoning.
You're right. It is a play.
Trinity Force on its way for AHaHaCiK. Nomanz has the service. I keep failing that. I keep getting to the middle of it and then forgetting to emphasize the last nah.
Every single cast with him, always going to be a pronunciation manual, but now we're back into standard lanes for the time being, but the big difference, one of the great strengths of having a Swain in the bot side is he is so self-sufficient because of how long he can actually stay alive. So Santos is never down here bot lane. He's always trying to make those moves towards mid, but I think what maybe he doesn't realize is that Uniboy, very self-sufficient in mid lane. He's a big old tank. You can't really cut through his health bar too quickly either. So Unicorns, it's much more about setting up vision and making sure Kongyue can't get too much further ahead because he's already 2-0-2, and we saw how he was completely able to take over the game on that same champion yesterday.
Uniboy is he's gone a bit thrift shopping here, Ender. He's got his boots, his belt, his skirt, his vest, a shield, and a bit of fire.
And a bit of fire, you know.
Like, do you ever
Katniss Everdeen.
Buy some fire?
He's catching fire in the mid lane. It's pretty typical nowadays for the set, but it's so interesting how he's able to get away with building so few magic resistance items. You know, sometimes we'll see, like in this game, it's usually Merc Treads, plus he's sitting on Indulgent Magic Mantle. We've seen people upgrade to the Spectre's Cal, but very common, just go Bummy Cinder into the Dead Man's Plate. The movement speed on set with, as a Juggernaut champion, it's always about being able to reach your target. Once you get to your target, your abilities are nuts, right? Everyone has seen Set's W, but it's about being able to make it there, and we're making it up here to the Herald once again, Medic.
So we just saw Boss has a 2,000 gold lead over Hanabi. Like, if he is involved in this fight, he is going to be a wrecking ball. The question is, can he be there?
Hello.
Goes in, Uniboy looking for the showstopper. He pulls him back, shut down. Goodbye, Nomanz. The Uniboy Kongyue combo works out once again.
That's the setup we wanted to see. Well done from PSG, and now Unicorns in a 4 versus 5 situation. Right now, I think you just push mid-wave, start hitting that tower, set up bot lane as well. Sett, they're actually completely giving up on mid lane. I'm a bit surprised to see this one, just not securing that minion themselves, but now PSG, after this Herald is taken, I think they can actually just turn it into mid lane. No one's here to defend from Unicorns.
That's where Kongyue's going.
And you don't have to put it top
well,
either because you already have 3 people in that area, so Boss is going to be denied this minion wave entirely, so Unicorns will love losing out big time on the back of that play and that singular pick from PSG.
And of course, because turret plates have fallen off, these towers don't get tankier the more you damage them, right?
Yep.
They're just going to fall really quickly. Vito gets a charge.
Oh, TP behind.
And Kongyue has to flash away, still has the chrono bait, can dive back, but with the time wider, he's going to slow up Boss. The rest of PSG are on the top side of the map. Uniboy takes a little bit of a chunk. Parallel conversions will get the stun onto Boss. Gadget is rejoining the fight from the bottom side as AHaHaCiK looking for that onslaught of shadows. Kongyue is going to dive across the wall. Gadget chasing forward. Never Move comes down. Kongyue almost dead. Jumps back with the power convergence, but he is locked down by the Unicorn.
Unicorns commit a lot right there to get the pick onto Kongyue, and a little bit surprising to see, even in that play, there were some split calls because Santos, if they knew they were TPing in there, could have been on the roam much, much sooner. They do get the kill, and I don't want to take that away from them, but Unicorns will need to tighten things up because if PSG all have their ultimates ready to go and they're looking not too coordinated like that, that could be trouble.
A Rift Tower did get another charge in the mid lane, so that mid lane tier 2 took quite a bit of a chunk of damage. So we are 17 minutes into this game, 1,500 or thereabouts the gold lead for the Unicorns. We have another dragon coming up in 30 seconds. It's a Cloud, which means either Infernal or Mountain will be our soul today, Ender. Or at least for this game.
Yeah. I actually, this is a game where it really does matter which map it's going to be, and we can get into that in just a little bit because I feel like we're about to have another fight going. Hanabi has his TP ready to go, but nowhere really to flank on this one. Gadget's still not at level 11 just yet, so that's a pretty big break point on the champion. Kongyue, no ultimate, no flash means he can't really commit into these fights too hard. You know, PSG wants to try and stall out for that ulti to come back up before they fully commit around this one.
And that's the question, isn't it? Like, are PSG willing to take a bit of a flip of this? Shockwave is flashed away. I think you untake the flip. You place the table back gently that you were about to flip, and you decide, hey, you can take the dragon. We got the Shockwave.
What map is it going to be? Ooh, okay. So this is why I want to talk about it, because I think Infernal Rift is an overall buff to PSG. Basically, this is because when you look at heavy melee comps, one of the ways they're actually really punished is when you have to deal with a lot of terrain on the map. So if Infernal or if Mountain Rift pops up, all of a sudden Nomanz and Gadget have a lot more tools to be able to kite back up and use to their advantage in controlling space with Shockwaves and the CC that a Swain can provide. Those tight corridors going to be very beneficial to them. Now that the walls have actually been raised down and the map has been opened up, all of a sudden it becomes so much easier to just sprint straight at the Unicorns and find them out. And they have less tools to try and walk back with.
It's actually super interesting. We don't often see a team composition really affected too greatly by the rift that comes out. Of course, Zoe known for not liking Infernal Rifts or liking Mountain Rifts. Yeah. But it's going to be really interesting to see exactly how these team fights go. Blue buff was stolen away by Kongyue. Tower in the top lane goes down as Hanabi will secure it. Let's have a look at where we are in terms of items. Uniboy has his Dead Man's Plate. Proto I'm going to assume Kongyue will get on his next back. Infinity Edge complete for Dee. And the Rod of Ages, Liandry's on its way for Gadget. Liandry's also almost complete here for Nomanz. He has that Blasting Wand and the Haunting Guise already in his inventory. Yeah,
and this is something I talked about a little bit earlier, but it really is two items where I think the comps start to diverge pretty heavily in terms of like power. Because two items, you just said, the percent HP burn damage in these long fights against a lot of tanky members is going to benefit Unicorns a whole lot. And the other thing is, when you run multiple tanks in your comp, you have to split your resistances, right? So it's not like you can just pile up a whole bunch of armor. You have to go one armor item, one MR item usually, whereas carry champions just get to go all in on that one big stat, which is usually going to be the AP here for both of those two champions. So two item fights could be rough. And that's why PSG are looking to fight down bot side early, but Gadget should be able to get out of this one.
Yeah, Gadget just walks away at the end there, is able just to escape and actually uses the Vision of Empire to get himself a passive proc. High tier Swain play right there. Get as many passive procs as possible. So we kind of get to this state in the game, Ender, and it's difficult to define exactly how the team should play their next steps. Because I look at it, I say, Infernal Drake in 2.5 minutes. Cool, okay. You can push out side lanes, you can get CS, you can get some gold, but it feels like the teams tend to accept that you don't have to force around these moments.
Yeah, and I think for Unicorns, one of the great things for them is they can get priority in a lot of their lanes pretty easily, because I think when Orianna is going to match up against a Jhin, she should always be able to hit the wave with her AoE spells, push through that. Renekton, with his advantage topside, going to be able to gain that as well, and Gadget 2 continuing to scale up bot side. So when we split out and look to control the waves, the map will usually belong to the Unicorns unless PSG are dropping a wave to then gather forces inside the river like we just saw and put down some vision.
Makes sense, and you can see that PSG tend to just be a little bit more on the back foot. Noman's going to catch the wave in the mid lane. And that proto belt now complete on Kongyue. And what PSG have actually done really well over the last couple of days is have moments where the game feels a little stale and then find picks in those moments. Kongyue especially, like, he is so good at positioning his parallel convergence and catching people out when you really don't expect him to be able to. Often, obviously, teaming up with Uniboy and working with him, but right now he is working with Hanabi on the top side of the map. Boss, he's going to be pretty difficult to take down, especially with the Merc Tread, the Black Cleaver, and the Blade of the Ruin King already complete. But we'll see if Kongyue is able to do anything about it.
I think Gadget just sniped out another passive proc there. I think that's why he was dropping the emote, saw that come back to him. But PSG do have good vision, so it's really stopping Unicorns from searching for any sort of play themselves. But we are approaching that Infernal Drake one more time, and neither team has really shown a willingness to play passively around these objectives. PSG gave up the last one, but Unicorns, even at a disadvantage, have been forcing fights every time. And now the Liandry's is finished for Nomanz. I wonder if Gadget can get back to base for his.
PSG currently have control of the river. There's a ward just down towards the bottom side of your screen, next to where Kaiwing is. Just moving out of sight right now, but PSG will need to get control of the mid lane, bot lane, all the way pushed up. Gadget's going to back. Let's see if he gets his Liandry's. There it is. 2 items complete.
A big one.
Rod of Age is still stacking up, and now he can either walk in or TP, and he's going for the TP. There's the parallel convergence. Santos, the only one to eat the initial charge. Of course, Kongyue didn't jump in.
Yeah, and Gadget has already teleported to that mid lane tower, so Unicorns will desperately want to fight this. PSG have been zoned to the bottom side of the river, so if this stalls out, there will be a wave coming for Unicorns to play with. But I think a good position for Unicorns is actually be the ones to start up the Dragon, force PSG to come in to their back line, and they're going to be able to tear through them.
I mean, the great thing for your Unicorns of Love is if PSG are coming at you, you have great shockwave positions. You've got these chokes that you have to funnel through, and you can see Unicorns start it up. Boss and AHaHaCiK going to start this one as Kongyue comes in from the bottom side of the fight. Kaiwing there as well. Dee there. Teleport coming in from Uniboy as they look to join this Barney. The Dragon down to 1,000, the knock away. Shockwave comes out, and AHaHaCiK is the one to secure a second spike. He's got this game. Quickness coming out to dive onto the backline. Dee trying to cleanse away, flashes out, and Gadget almost gets him with the death hand. Hanabi down towards the bottom side of this is going to get taken out by Nomanz and Santos, you have to feel. And AHaHaCiK will chase him down. The Stormbringer is brought to an early grave. 2 kills and the Dragon to the Unicorn.
AHaHaCiK huge with the smite and huge with the team fight as well. Coming up clutch right there, and you saw it. PSG just do not have the damage to kill the Unicorns on this itemization, and AHaHaCiK wants more.
Kongyue dying even with his ultimate available, just got CC chained and went down, and I think the Unicorns might be thinking, well, the Baron's available. 24 minutes in, 2,000 gold lead for them. This could be a little bit greedy. Hanabi has the teleport in 12 seconds to join the fight.
They're just taunting PSG to come in. Fight us, let's go, let's party.
The curtains are going to open. The knockup comes down, and AHaHaCiK is almost taken out. Boish doesn't go in, and that's 1 kill. Kaiwing falls. The Baron goes down. The Unicorns of Love, they taunted PSG, as you said, Betty. Oh, sorry, Betty.
Wow. That's okay. Fine, you know what? The Unicorns will focus on what matters, Medic. Not me, clearly. All right, AHaHaCiK here gets punched out of the fight, and they try to burst it down, but AHaHaCiK comes back somehow and lands that smite, then the ulti onto a poor Dee right there. All he can hope to do is flash on out of that one and survive, but the damage is not there for PSG, and I love the call to then continue it on the Baron.
I'm so sorry, and
you should be.
We'll come back to the League of Legends game. So, yes, Baron now on boss. It's almost 3 items, gone on his way to his death dance on this Renekton, and there's a 4,000 gold lead for the Unicorns. And the question coming into this game was, can Unicorns show us what PSG showed us yesterday? Can they show us that power, that consistency that PSG showed by beating LGD? Well, Unicorns are about to beat, well, Unicorns are in the lead versus a team that is the only team that's undefeated in this group.
And the reason, Unicorns, I think their composition works so well into what PSG have to offer. I think Unicorns correctly identified how strong they are on their item breakpoints. So very good team at fighting around those timers. Of course, we mentioned the 2 Liandry's, and now it's just, how do PSG really come back? Doesn't feel like they can force the fight and walk into the swing. The pivots in the draft to Gadget, the Orianna in game 1, the Swain in this game here have really been a curveball the teams haven't really figured out how to deal with.
Unicorn's going to take that top tier, bot tier 2. They're now looking for more as they go into the inhibitor line. Boss and AHaHaCiK are pushing forward. Uniboy's going to use the face breaker. Tier 2 in the mid lane falls as well. 5,000 gold lead. Unicorns
one's mid.
trying to get the waves to sync up, but that bot wave is still a way away. But PSG, slow to react, slow to act, slow to get here for this a little bit of action as the inhibitor tower falls in the mid lane. PSG stepping forward, trying to find their mark, trying to find their man, but Unicorn's like, okay, you can go mid, we're going to go bot lane and bring in the wave that we prepped.
Yeah,
the wave
just
that
take
is
all
ready.
those towers. Just take all those towers, and Dee cannot fight. He is unable to fight until at least he has the cleanse back up, because as we've seen, AHaHaCiK diving into the backline is so hard to deal with. There's no wave clear here either. Like, what can Dee or Kongyue hope to do? The answer is nothing. They can't even reach the cannon minion buffed up by the Baron that's constantly laying waste to this turret.
This is the final wave. 30 seconds on the Baron buff. 4.5 grand out of it so far for the Unicorns of Love, and they're looking for more as these double cannons just rain hell upon the inhibitor tower. Hanabi in the mid lane trying to trade. Here comes the showstopper. The Parallel Convergence won't find them. The quickness coming out, and there is the shockwave. Nomanz gets out of the back of it, and PSG have been swept. They've been wiped off the map. Kaiwing falls, Uniboy falls, and now the inhibitors will fall shortly after. Onslaught of Shadow still available for AHaHaCiK, and it is just so darn powerful. It is just so darn strong from the Unicorns. They take the first inhibitor, they're looking for the second.
Sometimes all it takes is that one clutch team fight, and that came for the Unicorns around the Dragon, and now they're looking for the end.
Looking to take down the only undefeated team in their group and stake their claim for the top spot, stake their claim for World Group stages. They're not going to be able to do it yet. Overstep just a little bit as PSG fight them back, hold them away from those Nexus towers. Double for Kongyue. Did Gadget really just flash the LGG symbol?
Doing them dirty, even when they're not in the game to try and defend themselves. Unicorns, I mean, they actually lost a dragon off of this play. They're still very much in a commanding position with double inhibitors going down, but PSG at the very least going to keep Unicorns away from Soul Point with this one.
Yep, it's an Infernal over to PSG. So it felt a little bit like Unicorns should have just been able to end the game here. Let's see why they couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, I mean, they dive very deep into the backline for Dee, but actually Hanabi killing out Nomanz there takes away a whole lot of their damage, and then also Gadget doesn't want to commit to the fight underneath the tower, which you respect. Unicorns divers just getting too deep, as we just said, but Unicorns, they're not slowing down. That's a triple teleport. I was like, that's a double teleport. No, that's 3. Ladies and gentlemen, they are going hard for the third and final inhibitor.
I mean, they might as well, right? Super minions already are over the halfway mark in the mid lane. They're working their way towards bottom, although their tower will just fall. And now they will hold this wave for a moment. You can see them not quite clearing it out as quickly as they can as AHaHaCiK. Oh, dearie me, sorry. AHaHaCiK is coming across from the side. Santos is going to join them. And actually, these cannons going to fall quite quickly.
They've cut off the flank from Kaiwing. What can they hope to do? Uniboy takes half his health.
Does still have the Haymaker, so should be okay with a little bit of a shield. The next wave on its way. Supers in the mid lane have to be dealt with by PSG. The supers in the bot lane will slowly begin working their way up there. The Unicorns just trying to hope that PSG take too long to clear out the wave.
Unicorns doing such a great job of holding off the flank. Kaiwing is trying to find a way in, but they just won't let him have it.
Here comes Hanabi as he tries to get in, but he can't get there quickly enough. That inhibitor tower down to a 3rd HP. Hanabi forced away. Supers in the mid lane, almost at the inhibitor line once again. Supers in the bot lane. That's a double super wave ender.
Oh, that one is building up
so
massive.
difficult to deal with.
So much coming in the bot side. I mean, Unicorns, not this way, but the next. Perhaps. This tower already below half HP. PSG, this is likely their final stand.
They have to defend this inhibitor, but AHaHaCiK is looking for that flank position from the side. The minion wave cleared out. And Onslaught of Shadows could do a lot of work here. Kongyue now has to go into the mid lane. Supers double in the bottom lane. They are almost there.
And no one can clear them out quickly. It's not like you can just instantly delete those minions. Uniboy loses the W on that one. The supers are inside of the base. The wave is here for the Unicorns of Love. This is it, Medic.
It's an army of minions. It's like we're watching Despicable Me right now as the minions continue to just do the bidding of the Unicorns. Onto the Nexus towers as the engage happens. Kaiwing tries to get on the backline, but the shockwave hits 2. There's the knockup. There's the follow. And AHaHaCiK's going to dive onto the backline as well. The turret goes down. That's the first Nexus tower to fall. Gadget goes on a killing spree. Dee tries to do what he can as he opens up the curtains, but it's not going to be more than an encore here for PSG. Somehow they hold on to their inhibitor, but there's still 3 members of Unicorns left alive. Nomanz going to stay around. Dee trying to clear out the super minions, no Nexus towers, and soon to be no inhibitors left for PSG. Kongyue is going to dive in. Santos is there to protect, but the Deadly Flourish does not quite connect.
Player of the game goes to the Unicorns minions while their team is running it down in the team fights. The minions are looking to close out the game yet another time. Unicorns forced very hard there. AHaHaCiK did not connect the ultimate onto Dee. It kept the Jhin alive. That allowed PSG to hold on for the time being, but I mean, for a long time, we're gonna have to say if PSG hold on, it's just that one more fight will end it all.
Have another look at this. You can see Gadget on the front line with that demonic ascension. The shockwave is great as well.
Yeah, the shockwave does hit 2 at the top, and this is what I was talking about on the right side. AHaHaCiK doesn't catch Dee. He will fall down, and Kaiwing also burns at the end. Gadget flashing on in there, but unable to sustain on through. It's a close fight, but...
The problem is it's close fights, but PSG are losing objectives while it's happening, right? You lost triple inhib, you have no Nexus towers. If you try and push out, you're going to lose your Nexus, and if you don't try and push out, you're going to lose the Baron. So it just becomes this catch-22 for PSG where every decision they make has to be absolutely perfect. The good thing for them, I guess, is the Unicorns of Love don't have their teleports right now, so we're not going to see a TP backdoor. Although I'm sure all of the world's audience out there watching is looking forward to that possibility.
Kongyue, can he find the steal?
This would be a game-defining moment for Kongyue, but already the shockwave comes out. He has the Chrono Break, he has the Power Low Convergence, here's the TP from PSG. They're looking for this fight. 3 members of the Unicorns on the back of the pit as here comes Gadget with the Demonic Ascension. They're looking for the knock-up on him, and AHaHaCiK is going to be able to get the Baron. And now the fight really begins as Gadget continues to step forward. Kongyue jumping in from the side. Hanabi trying to keep an AHaHaCiK away from the fight.
Nomanz can TP into the base.
Nomanz can TP into the base if he wants. Gadget goes down first. Deadly Flourish misses. Nomanz back, and he TPs into the fight. He wants more action, and AHaHaCiK is trying to dive forward. But the Unicorns lose one, get the Baron, take a kill.
Yeah, Nomanz was just waiting a couple seconds for the teleport to come back, and PSG don't have time to go to Fountain and sustain. They're going to have to turn and fight because the minions are here, and there's no towers on the Nexus.
You just can't do it. There's no way they can defend this. Kongyue dives forward, pops the stopwatch, but the super minion's going to do so much work. The shockwave finds 2. Hanabi taken low. AHaHaCiK trying to get onto Dee. The Deadly Flourish connects the shutdown as Boss takes the kill. Now the Nexus has to be the target. It's a double for Boss. He's showing up right at the final moments of this game, and the Nexus will fall, and Unicorns go 2-0 in their group.
It took them a couple extra tries right there for the Unicorns, but they looked good through that game and close it out with a win. This group is completely wide open, Medic. It's a good one.
It's just incredible that, like, PSG or Unicorns are likely to go straight into group stage. Like, that's what's happening now. At LGD, like, they could possibly catch, but it's, like, quite unlikely that Unicorns and PSG drop the rest of their games. So it is so surprising and so great to see these regions that have been so close so many times. Unicorns last year against Splice just didn't quite make it in. They went to all 5 games. Vega Squadron last year at MSI against Fengru Buffalo went to all 5 games, and here they have the opportunity to dodge all 5 games.
Exactly, it's that cheat code. You go first in the group in Play-Ins, and you go straight to the main stage, to the group stage. And Unicorns, I mean, I think we've seen them in a couple moments, right? With some decent fights around that dragon. It was a big turn for them that looked really good, and sometimes just those one big team fight, that's what's able to change it.
Well, we are going to check out Unicorns of Love, Mercedes Drive to Victory, the fight at the Ocean Dragon, followed by that Baron. Endo, talk me through this one.
This is the dragon I was talking about here, because watch, AHaHaCiK, he gets the smite 154 HP, and then also the ultimate onto the backline, which keeps him alive, his W giving him so much healing. This is a moment where Unicorns really just proved the compositional advantage they had. Their draft was very, very clever. They were fighting on exactly the right items in order to take down PSG, and able to convert it into the Baron, which